Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, MBC Lifestyles Diary. My name is Marie. I live in New York and I love fashion, travel, and cultural events. And I'm asking you to join me on the adventure. Our last day in Fez. I feel that my visit to Fez was too short. We only had really one full day to explore, and it's a beautiful city, rich with history and so many things to see. So it was time to go, and I promised to come back and stay longer. I spent the day enjoying my room and looking out over the view and feeling the breeze coming in through my balcony windows. When I was planning this trip to Morocco, I was only focused on Marrakesh. And my mom had an aide that came from Morocco, and she said, "You need to see more than Marrakesh when you go to Morocco." And she's the one that put it in my head to go to these major cities. So I followed her advice, and I'm glad that I did. I'm also glad that I found these fantastic riads to stay at, and that I got guides to take me around the city. So as I say goodbye to the Palace of the King, and I drive through Fez and look at its Medina and the beautiful cosmopolitan city, I'm grateful that I at least got to spend this time here and learn something. What I enjoyed is how distinctly different it was from Marrakesh, and I looked forward to what I would find in Tangier. The one thing I enjoyed about Morocco is the vibe of the country, and the vibe to me was mellow, a sense of well-being. Now, I don't know, maybe it's just because I had such fantastic experiences at my riads and the people that I encountered, but that's the impression I carried with me. At Riyadh Layalina, I was greeted by a wonderful staff, and I loved their terms for myself and my husband because we were called brother and sister. So, if the staff had a question, they'd say, "Sister, what would you like?" They had a question for my husband, they would say, "Brother, what would you like?" And that's a wonderful, welcoming feeling. And I really, truly appreciated that. I enjoyed the ride from Fez to Tangier because it gave me a view of the landscape, and the landscape changed. So between Fez and Tangier, yes, it was farm country, but what I was seeing was olive trees. And instead of sheep and goat, now I was seeing horses. And the view of the Atlas Mountains, when I looked on the map, the other ridge was called Air Rif. And then also we were coming across more water, and I found out about the Mulalea River that runs in this area. The main towns between Fez and Tangier, Morocco are Meknes, Volubilis, and Tietjona. While Fez is known for its cultural heritage and old Medina, and Tangier for its historical port and Mediterranean location, the journey between them offers a chance to explore smaller yet charming towns like Meknes and Tietjona, as well as the archaeological site of Volubilis. On this journey, we stopped at a site where we can kind of overlook the valley, and I also got to look at some handcrafts that I had not seen in Marrakesh. And I got to see the beautiful blue of the river in the distance. I picked up 2 camels made from leather for my grandsons. It was really beautiful. I just really enjoyed being in this country. As we drove, I didn't realize that the storks nest here. They have storks, and there'd be these giant nests on top of telephone poles or utility poles. It was fascinating to see these big birds nest in these giant nests on top of the utility poles. The other exciting thing that happened is that we stopped at something that was the equivalent of a truck stop for lunch. I stayed in the car, but my husband went out with the driver, and he actually ate there. But what I didn't know is that that fresh meat was just hanging, and the guy cut from that fresh meat and took herbs, all, the plants and everything, and grinded it all together in front of him. And I was like, "You ate it?" And he was like, "Yeah, it was delicious." And to hear him talk about it, it was the best meal he ever had in Morocco. The driver came back and he was chuckling, "Your husband, he ate like a Moroccan." And for me, I just prayed for Alex's stomach and his intestines, and that he didn't mess up my trip by being so adventurous. Luckily to say, everything was fine. As we drove through, we passed through various towns, and you could see some towns and cities were doing better than others. Some seemed to have a very active social life with cafes and restaurants and people about and stores. But it was just interesting all the same. And as you looked out the window, you're trying to understand, how did people live? How did they make a living? Was this all agricultural? I didn't see anything being manufactured, but I saw a lot of building and development going on. So the further away Fez got and the nearer Tangier got, I turned my attention to that city. Now, I was expecting a more European feeling city because Tangier sits on top of a hill looking down over the Strait of Gibraltar, the Mediterranean Sea, the entrance through which our cruise ship passed on its way to Barcelona. And I started thinking about what influences would be in Tangier as opposed to what I had just experienced in Marrakesh and Fez. From Tangier, there's a 1-hour ferry ride from Tangier to the city of Tarifa in Spain. So I was expecting to see that influence. And the other thing is, as I rode north, I felt Marrakesh was small, Fez was larger, so I didn't know what to expect in size from Tangier. But I knew that they had a whole section called the Corniche, where they had these beautiful mansions overlooking the Mediterranean. And I've also seen beautiful houses redone in Tangier, thanks to Architectural Digest. I think it's funny how often I mention Architectural Digest in this vlog on Morocco. And I think it's because the architecture and the design of housings is so beautiful that it has captured the imagination of many people. As we approached Tangier, I suddenly felt the way people that come from the provinces or from the countryside feel when they're approaching the big city, because suddenly that's the impression Tangier gave. You're meeting beautiful buildings and car dealerships, and you can actually see, feel, and smell the money that's in Tangier. And I sort of felt the apprehension of our driver, because driving was going to get a little more intense. It's getting a little more congested, but it was very interesting to experience this in another country. Tangier, a Moroccan port on the Strait of Gibraltar, has been a strategic gateway between Africa and Europe since Phoenician times. Its whitewashed hillside Medina is home to the Dar el Makhzen, a palace of the sultans that's now a museum of Moroccan artifacts. The American Legation Museum, also in the Medina, documents early diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Morocco in an 1821 Moorish-style former consulate. Tangier is full of activity, full of stores and restaurants and people walking about. It's beautiful. Whitewashed buildings and activity, and there's a cafe society, and there's also traffic that freaked out our driver. Our hotel was located in this wonderful hub of activity, and it also reminded me of Miami Beach. Our hotel was the El Minza Hotel. It was opened in 1930 by John Crichton Stewart, a historic hotel considered one of the most prestigious hotels in North Africa. It's a 5-star hotel. The facilities are full and luxurious, including a swimming pool, gym, sauna, indoor pool, and restaurant. The service is attentive and pleasant. So there's actually 3 restaurants in the hotel, and the gym and sauna stands in a separate building that's known as a wellness center. I really enjoyed this place and the beauty of it. The El Minza Hotel has a rich history that can be traced back to 1930. It was opened by John Crichton Stewart, the 4th Marquis of Bute, a British aristocrat with significant interest in the region. The hotel is considered one of the most prestigious in North Africa. The aristocratic origins of the hotel gives it old world charm and history. Celebrity and dignitary magnet. In its prime, the El Minza was a popular destination for celebrities and dignitaries. Notable guests include Rock Hudson, Rita Hayworth, Sir Winston Churchill, and they have all the pictures in the courtyard of their famous guests. The architectural style, the hotel features a Spanish Moorish architectural style reflecting the Art Deco period in which it was built, with extensive Moroccan interior design elements like arabesque woodwork and oriental carpets. It's the Grand Old Dam of Tangier. The hotel is often referred to as such due to its long history and established reputation. Here I am giving another dance lesson, and she too got tipped for being such a great student. I was really enjoying myself here. I really enjoyed the food here and the service, and it was so pretty sitting on top of that hill and looking over at the Strait of Gibraltar. I also couldn't stop dancing as I continued to hear the music into the courtyard. There is also a wine bar here, and on the patio you could have lunch, and the patio had a beautiful view also. It was truly a wonderful resort. That's the conclusion I came to, and I surrendered to the beauty of the place and the joy that I felt as I tried to perfect my belly dancing. If you enjoyed this, please remember to give me a thumbs up. Please leave a comment telling me your thoughts, and remember to like, subscribe, and share.